of the year program, and a happy new year to you wherever you are. Today's program is a very special program because I would like to dedicate it to the 1982 Bachelor of the Year. This program is dedicated to Mr. David Lee Walker, the undisputable winner of the 1982 Bachelor of the Year contest. I will be telling you more about that later in our program, but in the meantime, here's our special reporter, Shelley.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shelley.
And Lady Ruth Hunter, your other reporter, had the opportunity to go to the county court. This was quite a task because upon arriving downtown, we were shocked by the high price of parking. For example, to park, you would have to have $1.50 for 30 minutes and then a dollar for each additional 30 minutes. But who cared, because it was a big occasion. It was the occasion of the Tabernacle Baptist Church, and what was to happen? Arriving in the court, we found a predominantly female audience, waiting, watching, very tense and very, very dedicated to a purpose. There were many people that truly did not understand our business there. We are news reporters, and we owe to the public in Oklahoma an explanation of what is happening. Tabernacle is a historical black church, one of the strongest churches that's rated not only in Oklahoma, but throughout the nation. We were there. We saw Judge Amick as he came in and called a long docket. It just happened that Tabernacle Baptist Church was near the end of the docket. For about 10 minutes, the crowd waited without any words, and then finally a word came from Judge Amick, which stated that the lawyers are working out some details and they should be back shortly. We waited, we watched, we waited. There were many impatient people. We waited, and finally the judge returned and said the court will be recessed for a while. And then after a short recess, the judge came in. The lawyers explained what had been worked out. Now, from my standpoint, this is what Tabernacle Baptist Church must do, according to what I heard the day of the trial. First, the officers of the church must agree to be agreeable with the order of the court. Secondly, they must vote by secret ballot. Only the members that were members before July 12th or something similar will be allowed to vote. And they will vote on three things. First, they will vote to hear if they want to hear the grievances that have been brought about. Secondly, they will vote on whether to retain support or not support that present administration, which includes the pastor. And the third thing they will do, they will vote, and this is a hot one, on whether to pay the lawyers. Now, on one side, you have one set of lawyers. On the other one, you have another set of lawyers. And this was very confusing to the judge because the judge said, I've got to think about this. Now, let me see. If we pay one set of lawyers, will we have to pay the other? Well, if I have confused you with that, don't you be upset, because I think there are a lot of confused people as to the details. This morning, I had the opportunity, or yesterday, to speak to both sides, and I invited them to come here today as my special guest. I spoke to Mr. Howard, T.C. Howard, one of the trustees, and asked him to come, and he was very polite toward me, and he told me thanks, that he would consider it, and I asked him to pass a message over to the pastor. In the meantime, I've contacted the other side, and today I have with me two deacons from Tabernacle Baptist Church, the Honorable Willard Moore and Mr. Potts. How are you today, Mr. Moore?
I'm fine, Ms. Luper.
Well, I'm happy that you are fine, Mr. Willard Moore. I've been talking about your church. I've been reporting the news as I have gotten it, and I invited you here today because I want to know, and my radio audience want to know, what's going on at Tabernacle Baptist Church in Oklahoma City as it relates to you deacons.
First, thank you for an opportunity to be here today, and your sponsors. I want to say that Tabernacle Church is an institution of many years, and recently there has been some conflict in Tabernacle Church, but I feel that now is the time for all the members of Tabernacle Church to come forward and take an active part in that church administration. It's time for those members who are out there saying that y'all get the situation straightened up so that I can come back to church, to come back and be a part of what it takes to straighten the church up.
All right, now, how long have you been at Tabernacle Baptist Church?
I've been a member of Tabernacle Church for 28 years.
Are you a deacon?
Yes, you might say I was.
I might say. Now, I'm not going to say anything. I want to know, are you a deacon?
It's difficult to say. I was a deacon.
You were a deacon. Why did you decide to stop deaconing if you were a deacon?
The decision wasn't made on my own. The pastor recommended the new officers to the church body at our annual church meeting in November, and my name was not one of those that he recommended.
Oh, how many deacons did he not recommend?
There were 7 of us that he did not recommend to continue as deacons.
Is it true that Deacon McMurray, who is about 92 years old, was not recommended as a deacon any longer?
That is true.
Now, let me repeat that, sir. You are telling me that at Tabernacle Baptist Church, a man that had been a deacon for 50 years, like Mr. McMurray, was kicked off the board. Why?
Because of the fact that he, along with 6 others of us, signed a petition that would call for an investigation of the pastors and his administration.
Why did you want the pastor investigated?
Because we have reason to believe that information that he has presented is not authentic, and that there has been a lot of confusion in Tabernacle the 2 years since he has been there as pastor.
Well, I have read an article in the Messenger that I would like to quote directly from that states that there are churches that are being stolen throughout the United States, and the first step usually is an effort to discredit church leaders, the deacons, then the Sunday school officers and other organization leaders. Have that happened at Tabernacle?
That certainly has happened at Tabernacle. Sunday school officers have been attempted to be removed. I've taught Sunday school for 20-odd years, and some of us have been asked to relinquish our position as Sunday school teachers.
Oh, you cannot disagree with your minister and maintain a position of leadership in your church.
That's about the size of it.
Well, I noticed at the hearing the other day, as Mr. Irie Hall presented some things that he felt was wrong with the church, your pastor did not say anything about any of the charges. Only he reported to the people there that he had good news, that Reverend Russian had been healed, and that Reverend Russian was at Tabernacle Baptist Church praying while they were in court. If your pastor is healing people, if, according to the Black Chronicle, the Tabernacle Baptist Church is secure financially, spiritually, and otherwise, what's wrong?
I believe that God works through man. God is the one who does the healing, not man. God uses man at times to reach other men. The Tabernacle has had a good financial foundation for all the years I've been there, to recently, which we're in the process of building a new church. We have come to the point here recently where funds are disbursed, oftentimes without very much consideration by the body as to where they're being used. However, we are going ahead to build a new church, and I would say that spiritually we are suffering because there's much conflict in Tabernacle Church.
Well, I think that it's commendable that your pastor should ask you for an $11,000 raise. Did you give it to him?
No, we did not. We brought him in, letting him know that we were in the process of building a new church, and it surprised me greatly when he asked for a raise that large, knowing the task that we had before us.
What kind of raise did you give him?
He did receive a cost of living raise, $4,000 annually.
Well, I hope the Board of Education is listening, because the teachers in Oklahoma certainly need a $4,000 cost of living raise, and certainly we will have to ask our state legislature. Mrs. Honda is all excited. She said she didn't even get a $2,000 raise. Well, you aren't doing the job. You aren't healing anybody, Mrs. Hunter, once you start really healing and helping people. Now, Mr. Willard Moore, I'm very sincere now. What is it true that you will have to have a court-ordered election? It seems to me that in 1982 and 83, no judge would have to come into a church with all of the educated people and dedicated Christians like you all and tell you that you've got to have a court-ordered election.
It is very pathetic that this would happen. We, members of the deacon board, had pleaded with the pastor to follow the scriptures and bring this situation to the floor of to the congregation, which is as it should be in the Baptist church, where the congregation will have an opportunity to vote on the situation. But because of his refusal to do so, we had to go all the way downtown to the courthouse so the judge would tell us to bring it back to our church to begin deliberation there, something that we already knew should be done.
Now, it is true that you will have an election, and today you're talking to hundreds of members of Tabernacle Baptist Church, because I understand you've been operating with about how many people at business meeting?
I would say at business meeting we have somewhere in the vicinity of 145, 150 persons.
Out of a membership of how many?
800 or 900 people.
900 people. So you're appealing to those people to come out, hear the truth, and then vote.
Yes, there are members who have asked me, when are you going to get this situation straightened out so that I can come back to church? Now's the time for you to attend your church, to become an active part of your church, to participate in all of its meetings, whatever kind of meetings, business or whatever, and take your rightful place and vote first to be informed so that you might vote your true conviction. You don't have to take my word or take what is said in the newspaper, but come back to your church and be informed there for yourself so that you might be able to vote intelligently on these issues that are coming up.
This portion of our program is being brought to you by Seals Cleaners, located at 3617 North Everett Street here in Oklahoma City. Seal and his lovely wife would like to take this occasion to say thank you for your business in 1982, and they're looking forward to clean me now, Deacon Potts. How you do, Deacon Potts?
Fine, Mrs. Luper. How are you?
I'm fine. Are you a member of the Tabernacle Baptist Church?
Yes, ma'am. I am a member of Tabernacle Baptist Church, and I have been a member since March of 1956.
That's been a long time. March of 1956. We are talking about 27 years. Now, during those 27 years, have you been a deacon?
No, I have been a deacon for the last 7 years.
7 years a deacon, but you were not recommended in 1983 to be in 82, to continue to be a deacon. Is that true?
It is true, due to a recommendation coming from the pastor.
Now, what is it your pastor is not doing at your church?
What is, actually, I would first seem to think that the pastor is not following the scripture as he is teaching.
He's not following the scripture. What do you mean?
Well,
the scripture say heal, and he healed Reverend Russian last week.
Well, I have no comment on that, but I would say that it's very unfortunate that Tabernacle is caught up in a court case at this time.
Well, you signed a petition to go to court, didn't you?
I signed a petition only after. You see, as deacons, we are spiritual leaders of the church, and we are to help in quelling disturbances in the church. We attempted to do this, and of course now, those of you who are familiar with the scriptures, you will check Matthew's the 18th chapter, starting with the 15th verse and going through the 17th verse. God knew that there would be disturbances in the church. Therefore, he laid down guidelines for discipline within the church for those who would do wrong. And there was a group that brought a petition to the church, to the pastor and the board, asking that these grievances be aired and satisfied. They did not receive any satisfaction. Therefore, the board selected a grievance committee, an investigating committee, of which I was chosen to be the chairman of. We investigated the pastor. We went to him, attempting to follow the scripture, and when we could not get satisfaction, the pastor himself failed to let the scripture be carried out as to the discipline of members by not allowing the group to take the issue to the church.
Now, I don't see why you're complaining. You have a doctor for a pastor. You have Dr. Davis. You have a man with a PhD degree. What else do you want?
Well, Mrs. Luper, this is part of the grievance.
What?
Some members have reason to doubt that Reverend Davis has received an earned doctor's degree.
An earned doctor's degree. Are you insinuating that you can get a doctor's degree without earning it?
Well, when I say earned, I mean classroom work and research that goes into writing a dissertation.
Well, you have a man that's had experience as a pastor in the armed forces where he was a major.
This, too, is one of the grievances. You see, Reverend Davis's credentials are being questioned. Now, I might say that just in the limited investigation that we did, after hearing Reverend Davis state several times from the pulpit that he had flown airplanes, aircraft in the service, in the military, and only through until I asked him in the session or of the investigation if he were ever an officer in the military, and the pastor told me flatly, no, he was not. He was never an officer in the military. I also asked if he were a chaplain. This, too, that he had said on many occasions that he was a chaplain in the Air Force. Well, then he has not proven to me that he is a chaplain or that he was a chaplain in the military. Matter of fact, he showed me documented proof to the fact that he was recommended to be a chaplain, but he would not accept because it would cause him to extend his tour of duty, in which he was not willing to do. He was wanting to be discharged from the military at a certain time, and had he accepted this commission, he would not have been able to do that.
So you don't think that a man that has misrepresented according to what you're saying, you don't feel that that man should be your leader? Is that it, basically?
Basically, I would say, for me, that is it. But I would ask that each and every member of Tabernacle Baptist Church, these are only a few of the complaints and the concerns that the group has. And I would suggest to every member of Tabernacle Baptist Church that you would come out and get more involved in your church and find out exactly what is going on. Now, what I mean about getting involved, everyone cannot be in these auxiliary organizations, but you can attend your church business meetings to see where...
And that church business meeting will be held when?
On Friday, January the 7th.
January the 7th. You want everybody that's a member of Tabernacle Baptist Church to be there.
At 7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock, January the 7th. You Tabernacle people be there and do what you want to do. And Deacon Potts and Deacon Moore have told you about the situations there at Tabernacle Baptist Church. Well, some people have called me and said, y'all in better shape than some other churches. They say there are churches around here where the preacher don't tell them how much he's making. They say there are churches around here who nobody knows what the choir's making, and a lot of things. So maybe you're in better shape than somebody else.
I don't know what you mean we're in better shape.
Well, anyway, I have my credentials. If you don't believe it, go to Grayson High School. I graduated in the top 5 of my class. There were only 5 in my class. Here's Onita with the funeral and death announcements. And I'm so proud of these. You remember them. This is Roshan Magnus, former president of NACP, and this is Calvin Davis, former president of NACP. And now give me a minute's report on what you two young men are doing.
Clara, let me first of all wish you a very happy new year.
So when did you get so you call me Clara? I'm still Mrs. Luper to you, and don't you forget it. Yes, Mr. Magnus.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to wish you and your radio audience a very happy new year.
Okay, and tell us where you are and what you're doing.
Well, I'm still attending Howard University School of Law in Washington, D.C. I will be graduated from that fine institution on May 14th, 1983.
Congratulations. And you're majoring in what kind of law?
I'm majoring in